order it.
Rice salad.
Avocado with rice? They're both
chicken.
mushy.
No, I like mushy stuff though. I'm like a mushy kind of texture person.
I can't. It's too many mushes.
It's all good. It's just because avocado is such a superfood. It does so much good for your body.
Superfood?
It is. It is a superfood.
I'm not saying that it's not.
Well, that's why I love it. I love the things that it does to my body.
Yeah, I don't like the way it feels when it's going into my body.
It doesn't matter. You think I like how
too
creatine
mushy.
feels going into my body? Oh my god. Like
It's a juice. You just mix it in. It's like juice.
Bro,
What do you mean?
Oh my gosh. You know, like when you take Buckley's and then like you like shrivel after because you're like, oh my god,
I
it's
haven't
disgusting.
taken Buckley's in. I don't even want to remember the last
have
time I
you
took
have you
Buckley's.
ever eaten or drank like a gross thing and like you got goosebumps everywhere and you shriveled?
No.
No? Have you?
Yeah.
We need to give you some gross stuff.
No, maybe I don't take gross things because they're gross.
Well, I've been taking it for like 40 days now.
What about the
Every
creatine
single
is
time.
so nasty to you?
Oh my
Isn't it flavored?
It's grainy. It's like
Do
potent.
you need to like?
Oh my god.
Why is it grainy? Doesn't that mean it's not being mixed in properly?
This is just how creatine is. So I just bought a milk frother to help me
Yeah.
really mix it up.
Oh.
Oh my
Wait.
It's fine.
Wait, but is the creatine flavored or is it just?
Yeah, it's flavored. It's flavored.
What flavor is it?
So the first one I had was fruit punch. Okay, it's fruit punch is very good, but this fruit punch is just gross.
I feel like fruit punch can go very wrong though.
Yeah, no, this is the wrongest way it can go. And then the one that I have now is blue raspberry.
Oh yeah, that's one you had in Florida.
This one's not as bad, but like it's super. It doesn't mix as well as the fruit punch. So like I literally will be drinking.
The powder.
I will be drinking the powder. Like it's so weird because like I'll take the spoon and I'll submerge it in water and it will still be dry.
Oh, do you know? Oh, you really got to use a milk frother for that, or like
I
a closed.
ordered one.
Actually, do you have a blender? You have a blender bottle.
Yeah, that's true. But the only way to like actually dissolve it is to put hot water in it,
Yeah.
and I have to put hot water, and then I have to mix it, and then I have to put cold water, and then I just chug it.
Oh, well, that's reasonable.
Anyways, I don't even know how we started talking about that.
We were talking about gross things. Anyways.
Oh yeah. Come on.
Good night. Welcome to another episode of the Pursuit Podcast. As we continue our study on, it's kind of a loose study into the book of Philippians.
Yeah, sure.
We're not like quoting actual scriptures and stuff, but the concepts.
I mean, we have.
We have, but that's not the bulk of the conversation.
Oh.
The concepts and the ideas and stuff kind of take up a lot. All right. Okay. You want to jump right into it with our first question of the night?
Yeah.
We're going to start with, what's one of the most selfless things that someone has done for you? And how did it impact, and what impact did their actions have on you? I really got to start thinking of my answers before we start.
What's the most
For some of
selfless
these.
thing someone has done for me?
The most selfless thing someone has ever done for you.
Well, I'm just gonna jump in and say that our parents. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Jesus died on the cross.
Oh,
not
oh,
that
wow.
that's a bad answer, but it's just so cliche.
Well, obviously that too, but our parents, their selfless sacrifice every
that's
single
true.
day is.
How has that impacted your life?
Well, I think, now I'm able to
Like,
appreciate it
yeah.
more because I'm like, probably at this age, my mom was already a mom.
That's wild. I
And
was just
I'm
thinking
like-
about that.
Yeah, I don't think about it because I don't know how it's possible.
And I'm like, how did they it must have been hard for them, you know, to have to go to work and come home to kids and I come home and I'm tired already. I just can't imagine entertaining kids.
Or having to maintain a household.
Technically, Dylan is my child. I have to cook for
my
him,
gosh.
so I will take credit in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, this doesn't answer the question, but the fact that I'm 24, right? I think my mom was she married at this point? Or she was engaged, I think, at least.
think
Which is wild to me because
I think they got married at 22.
My parents?
No, your mom was 22 or 23, I think.
No.
No?
So, okay, hold on. 18, 6 years, 24. I think she got married around 25.
Okay, so she
Hold
was. Oh,
on.
they were engaged.
Let me do the age math. I won't say her age on the internet because she might murder me, but
I'm just letting you know the whole world is waiting for you to figure this out.
I mean, you can keep it if you want. Just make it entertaining. Okay, I'm 24.
No, I think she was 22, 23 when she got engaged. Yeah.
How are you telling me the timeline of my mother's life?
I'm pretty sure I'm right.
I'm pretty sure you're wrong.
No.
Because, all right, so they were dating. They started when she was 18. She made him wait 6 years before she said yes to a proposal.
Oh my god.
So 18 and 6 is what? 24.
24.
So she got married, I think, when she was 25, had Lex and me by 20. Wild.
Just so you know, if you give your
I did.
we now know how old you are.
Yeah, but who?
You're gonna have to edit this whole thing out.
So, like, by my age, my mother was engaged, which is wild to me.
It's not. I mean,
It's kind of normal.
I
but
mean,
people
yeah.
are getting married later.
If you
and
had
later
like a
nowadays.
boyfriend at like 18 and you guys were together for like mad long.
Yeah, like they were together her entire adult life.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he didn't do it sooner. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. It's a joke. She wouldn't have said yes sooner, apparently. So.
No, she didn't. She made him wait until she was good and ready.
Yeah.
Life
But yeah.
lesson: make him wait until you're good and ready. That has nothing to do with what we're supposed to be talking about. So, what's the most selfless thing someone has done for you?
I don't know.
I was thinking a lot more superficial than what you went with, and it makes me really want to reconsider my whole life.
The most selfless thing anyone has ever done for me?
Mm.
Man, I don't know. I'm like so emotional. I can't keep thinking about that stuff. I'll cry. I don't know.
See,
Selfless.
I can't remember just because I block a lot of things out, which is a different issue. But we're like two ends of the spectrum.
This is like Ariel hour, apparently.
Sorry, I will not say anything for
No,
the
I'm
rest of the
I honestly am drawing a really big blank.
Yeah.
I should have thought about this when we were preparing. If I think of it, I'll throw it in there.
But we're gonna move on from it.
No, it's
at that
okay.
point.
I'll tie it in. Don't worry.
All right. Okay. What's the most selfless thing someone has ever done for me? I feel like nothing I say is going to compare to the sacrifice of my parents coming over to this country and learning a whole new society
I mean,
while juggling two children.
some over here tried to make me feel bad about the whole Jesus.
Oh, Jesus dying on the cross.
You definitely can't say it now.
I feel like I wouldn't have said it anyways, even though that is very selfless, very selfless. But I feel like that, I don't know. Anyways, let's maybe we'll table this question and come back to it. So in this, I guess we're still on chapter 1 of Philippians.
Yeah, the end of it.
We're on verses 23 on, I believe. Do you have the exact verse number?
I do not.
Okay. 20s and on, I believe. And so Paul is talking a lot about unity within the church and what it means to be like one body. So another question that I have for you guys is, why would unity in the face of opposition be helpful for Christians?
I think sometimes when there's like a problem or some kind of opposition that you have to face, usually like you can't do it alone, and it causes people. It almost forces people to like kind of come together.
Yeah.
I know like the only time I see my mom's side of the family, with the exception of like a few people, is when someone dies. Because it's like that's the only time that people are like kind of forced to come together is like, you know, in like a death. And it's like I haven't seen some of my cousins in like, I don't know, like so long, maybe like a decade or something. And I think that kind of parallels to like it kind of forces people to come together. It forces people to tap into the commonality that they have. For example, my family obviously has
Family in
blood,
common.
yeah, blood in common, and with Christians, obviously we have one faith, we have one God, and yeah, I think it just forces people to like kind of act on their commonality, and like they just kind of mesh on that.
I feel like opposition can either bring people together or push them apart. And in that, like when I come across an opposition, you would go to someone that can help guide you and like lead you on into what the right way is. But sometimes if you don't agree with their methods or with what they think you should do or their guidance, then it can also cause a rift if you're not willing to like be open-minded about certain things. And I feel like when you don't have that common, like you were saying, the commonality of like religion, of Christ-centered life, it can kind of create an opposition. But when you do have that foundation and that basis, it does help to build you like, hey, maybe I should think about what they're saying and then their perspective, because they could be reading the same scripture or the same thing that I am, but they just have a deeper understanding or like a different understanding of the word itself.
Yeah, I agree. And I also feel like with this day and age, there's like a lot that can be said against Christianity for people
A lot of
outside
people,
of
like,
the
misconstrue
religion.
things.
Yeah. And I feel like that's even more important for the unity in the church to be as strong as ever to like fight back against those accusations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we like at the beginning of the pandemic, we like the church had a motto. What was it like in the middle of crisis, like we stand together or something like that? Do you remember, Kevin?
I think that was New York's motto.
Was it New York? Because I don't know if we had like our specific. I know there was like a catchphrase he said. In the face of crisis, something like that, along those lines.
I mean, first Philippians chapter 1. No, Philippians chapter 1, sorry. Verse 27 says, "Above all, you must live as citizens of heaven, conducting yourselves in a manner worthy of the good news about Christ. Then, whether I come," Paul is talking, "and see you again or only hear about you, I will know that you are standing together with one spirit and one purpose, fighting together for the faith, which is the good news." Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, we're always. I don't see it as fighting, but I guess just standing for what we believe in.
Yeah.
And I guess standing is really fighting for what we believe in, especially like now, with people thinking that it's the end of times with COVID, when, people were just like, what's happening? Does God really love you? And stuff like that. Well, yeah, he does. And he's still saving you. He's still saving lives and stuff like that. So, yeah.
And I think that verse kind of wraps up my follow-up question, because I was going to ask, in what ways does us being unified honor God? And then if you go back to the verse that you were reading, the last section of it.
Oh, know that you're standing together with one spirit and purpose.
Yeah.
Fighting together for the faith, which is the good news.
I feel like that kind of sums it up as to how it does honor God.
No, it definitely does, but I think us being together and fighting for God, I think it kind of like solidifies us as kind of Christians. I think that a lot of people sometimes, or especially people from outside of the church, it's really about community. It's not just about like 100 people, 10 people, or I was about to sneeze, or 5,000 people, like just coming into a church and then like going home. A lot of people like don't realize that like, hey, we have small group, hey, we have youth, we have this, we have that. And it's just about like community. And I think by like if we can show each other love, we can also show other people outside the church love. But if we can't show each other love, like, it's like honestly that much harder to show other
Outside,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, and like if you really have closer, like I remember like in high school, obviously like I had church friends, I grew up in church, and like those people were really like my true friends. And then like everyone in high school, like they were obviously my friends, but like I wasn't really that close to them. And I was just able to like show my friends the love of Jesus because I already knew how to make friends in church and how to treat my friends in church differently than like how people outside of church treat their own friends. So like when I treat my friends the same way I treat my friends in church, the same way I treat my friends outside, they kind of see like, well, why are you treating me like this? Like my other friends don't treat me like this. And then I'm able to kind of like tell them like, hey, like this is like, I care about you. Like this is how I care about you. Like, I get it from Jesus, like, the love of God and like, and all that stuff. So I think that really glorifies God. And like, even in a simple classroom or whatever.
Yeah, I think that also reminds me that like growing up, like the level of like kindness and showing love to people, a lot of people don't learn that outside of the church. So like when I would have friends and I would be like attentive to like some of their needs, or like just show kindness, a little bit more kindness than they're used to, it would be like such a life changing thing for them. It's like, why are you being so nice to me? And then you, like you said, you just tie it back to like, this is the love of God. Like he's living in me, through me, and like, I'm just showing what he has shown me. And that's kind of how I made a lot more friends within the faith, but outside of like this specific church
Yeah.
as well. So in verse 29, Paul kind of references, or he says that it's been granted to the church to suffer for Jesus. What's our take on that statement? Because I know suffering, there's a lot of, well, it's a negative word, suffering. No one wants to suffer. No one chooses to suffer. But what does it mean when he says that the church has been granted to suffer for Jesus? And how does that kind of change your walk with Christ to know that it's promised that you will be suffering for his followers?
I think it just makes it all the more like straightforward. And because people that think about their walk with Jesus, they think that it's going to be perfect. Like,
Yeah.
no mistake, you're going to be fine, you're going to be happy all the time. And that's like not true at all.
It's not.
Yeah, you actually face a lot more. Well, you have to like continuously fight, every single day.
There's a lot more
yeah.
trials and like tribulations when it comes to building
Yeah.
relationships.
The word suffering, the definition is the state of undergoing pain, distress, or hardship. I think a lot of the times, especially in our culture, when I hear suffering, I think like physical pain. But I think like distress kind of just means like really, you're kind of uncomfortable. I think that living as a Christian, you kind of have standards to live up to, right? I mean, God calls us to be holy. That's something we'll talk about next week. But God calls us to be holy. He calls us to be chosen of God. And even in the verse that we were just referencing, in verse 27, Paul kind of references, he kind of alludes to the fact that like we have to kind of live up to the good news. Like we have to stand for it, but we also have to live up to it before we can stand up for it. Well, we obviously we're not perfect, but like also live up to that. And living up to that is sometimes kind of hard. I mean, it is hard, and sometimes
Big shoes to fill.
yeah, and sometimes it's stressful because if you're in a situation where people are kind of bashing the word of God or bashing God, you kind of have to come out and try to defend it. Right, you kind of have to suffer a little bit and go through some distress where people are asking you questions, and it might be yourself. You might be against like a group of people. You never know what happens. But I think my take on it is, if you believe in anything, you're probably going to have to suffer for it a little bit. All right, we're not only talking about Christianity. Like if you believe in a political, like if you believe in a policy, if you believe in this, if you believe in that, like you're going to have to suffer for it because not everyone agrees with everything. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think, like, for example, my avocado thing.
Ugh.
I love avocados. But you guys were coming against me saying that
We weren't
avocados
coming
are gross.
against
You
you.
guys were coming against me.
We have
Chips and
different
salsa
opinions.
is so much better. Like, I couldn't disagree more. But, like, I obviously stand for it, and I got heat. It was a little stressful for me.
Why was it stressful?
No, I wasn't stressful.
We're just stating our difference of opinions.
But I just imagine.
And we stood in unity.
Just imagine how like kind of small avocado is, obviously, but I had to stand my ground, obviously. And I believe in avocado, I guess. I believe in its health benefits, but I obviously believe way more in Jesus. And I think that's why it kind of is.
I'm glad you made that clarification.
I think that's why it feels so sufferable and why it's kind of hard on you, because you don't kind of believe in Jesus if you're going to stand up for him.
Yeah.
If you're in a difficult situation where people are just saying like you shouldn't believe in God or like there's no reason to believe in God, you're like, no, like I believe in him with my whole heart.
Yeah, I feel like the more you believe in something, the stronger you are to fight, and the harder it is that people will come against it.
Yeah, and the more that you fight back with somebody, the more they'll fight back with you.
Yeah.
No one likes to lose.
Yeah, nah, for real. Yeah, no one likes to lose. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my take on it. I think that if you really believe in something, you're probably going to have to suffer for it a little bit.
A little bit. And I feel like there's no better cause to suffer for.
Amen.
Thank you.
That was good.
So what difference does it make to your walk with Jesus knowing that suffering is promised? Does it make you want to fight for it harder, or does it? I feel like it kind of helps you to mentally prepare once you go into it, knowing that I'm gonna have to fight tooth and nail,
Yeah, I mean,
depending on the circumstances and the situation you're in.
I think what helps me is seeing how, like, the very influential people like John and like all those other guys, they were murdered for preaching the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that if they went through that and they kind of believed in it and like they went through that, what I go through now,
It's like nothing compared to them.
yeah. So I mean, I'm really grateful of the fact that like they went through that. I think it kind of helps me to show me that like I am believing in something that is worth it. And I know that the suffering is honestly worth it. Like it's just worth it, and it's nothing compared to what they went through. So
Yeah, that's true. I feel like we have it a lot. We have it physically easier to like spread the gospel and talk to people about it, but societally, like the pressures are still very much there. Especially, I feel like it's more so nowadays, like the radical Christianity that's kind of like overtaken a lot of places and a lot of people's mindsets. So like when you speak to certain people that are outside of the church and they're against the church, and you figure out why it is that they are against the church, it's that radical idea of what Christianity is versus like the actual truth and intent. And it's after certain discussions, people are left like, why is this the picture, the radicalism? Why is that the face of what I've been showed of Christianity instead of like the actual God is love, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's with anything, the radical ideas are the ones that are gonna spread like wildfire versus
yeah, because
the
they're
more
just,
common ones.
yeah, they're more controversial.
Yeah. That also doesn't really have much to do with suffering for Christ.
Yeah. But yeah, now and like talking about like obviously your own interests, like talking about God and kind of defending Him. I think to kind of go back to making more about unity, I guess when it comes to like the church, obviously no one's gonna agree on everything.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, so.
Even within the church, there, like,
Yeah.
not everyone's always on the
Exactly.
same page.
And I wanted to ask a question: when is it difficult to put someone else's interest first before yours?
I feel like it's not that hard for me.
Even if it's Jesus's first interests. What? It's true.
I think in general, if you don't think their interest is the best for them,
Okay.
because I feel like with anyone, if I think you're making the wrong choice, but this is something you really want to go all in for, it's going to be a little more difficult for me to like be supportive. Like I'll still be supportive, but not to the full extent that I could be.
Okay.
If does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you said that it's not hard.
Yeah,
Want to
at
hear
all.
more about that?
Like straight out the gate, not at all.
I'm rethinking now.
Yeah. I mean, is it easier to cook for Dylan when you're starving than to cook for yourself and eat first?
No, but that's the thing is
Well, you're
like I
cooking-
don't
You're
like
not cooking a single meal at a time. You're
I
making
wouldn't
enough.
mind doing it. Like even if there are like moments where I don't feel like cooking, I'm like dead tired, and he'll be like, "Oh, I have like nothing to eat," but there is, but he just
Okay.
doesn't want
Yeah.
it.
I'll
I'll be
phrase
like,
it.
"Okay,
Well, that's a mom move.
Okay.
yeah.
I'll phrase it. Okay. I'll phrase it this way. Okay.
okay."
Okay. You have $15, right? You want a cheeseburger so bad, so you're gonna.
$15.
Yeah. So you're gonna make ground beef. You're gonna get ground beef. You're gonna get the buns. You're gonna get cheese. Okay. You're gonna get all that to make it for yourself. But Dylan's like, I really want chicken curry. But you only have fine. You only have you only have $10.
Those are so like polar
what?
opposites.
I know. So what are you gonna
curry?
do? Are you gonna put your interest first, or are you gonna put Dylan's?
Well, I'll tell you what
Ooh.
I'll do because
What do you prefer?
No.
obviously-
You want the cheeseburger. In this scenario, you don't want chicken curry. You had it like for a whole month straight. The last thing you want is chicken curry.
But I have supplies to make chicken curry at home actually.
No.
Curry chicken.
All right.
That's
I
a
said
different
I said
conversation.
chicken curry for a reason.
That's a different conversation. We got time for that.
But yeah, like whose interest are you putting first? You putting yours?
I'm putting my brother's interest
Wow.
before my own.
Wow.
No, I don't know.
I really believed you. I think everyone else watching believed you
I
too.
think situational,
Situationally?
circumstantially.
Situationally? Is that a word?
I don't know, but that's why I switched
Okay,
it.
we're about to find out. Okay, go
Depending on the circumstances, it's easier or it's harder to put someone else's interests before you. So like my sister, Lex is very allergic to a lot of nuts.
Yeah.
Very allergic. So if we're going to a bakery, right, and we are like we're getting things, I will purposely not choose something that is either in the case close to nuts or like with nuts at all. Just because we share things, so even if it's close to it, I don't want to like take the risk that it has like some residue or whatever from just sharing spaces. Because once I was eating walnuts on the couch, like a couple seats away from her, and she had a reaction.
How could you do that? I'm just
We
joking.
were
I'm just joking.
children. I was probably like 10, so she was probably like 11, if even that old. And she had a reaction. So since then, I'm like extra cautious. And I'm always the one that reads the things.
It's true. She does not read anything.
She doesn't read things. This is a different.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways.
There's a lot of tangents in this episode. I'm sorry. But yeah, so like in those situations, I will put her needs above mine because I can always go back by myself, or I can always like get something
Yeah.
with nuts on my own. But if she's around, I will purposefully do the non-nut route.
That's nice. I was honestly expecting one of you to be like, no, I find it really difficult.
That's why I say situation like depends on the situation.
I know I find it consistently difficult because I spoil myself all the time, every single day. So it's really hard to not spoil myself for someone else. 100%. Yep. Usually I just buy one for me and one for the other person because I love spoiling myself so much because I have high standards. But I find it difficult. I honestly find it difficult putting other people's interests before mine. I do. I just do. But I think what helps me is knowing that in the end, like we're all like we're all trying to get the same goal, I guess. Like trying to keep your sister alive, trying to feed your brother. I think that's what's more important. So that's
You're
usually
spoiling yourself.
Yeah. Because I probably will go get it tomorrow, but no. But I usually look at the big picture, and that's kind of what helps me put other people's interests. And I think that in terms of like unity in a community, that
Ooh, unity in the community.
oh my gosh, I guess that's a tagline for like if you need a thumbnail,
This
Kev,
episode, unity
that's
in the community.
that's the thumbnail.
He's shaking his head, but he will likely use it.
If he doesn't, then please dislike this video. I'm joking. Please like the video. Just write in the comment, unity for the community. In the community. I think that's what helps Christians in the community have unity, is because when they're able to look at like the big picture and understand that this is for the glory of God, they kind of do it. I know that in bands sometimes it's not always easy, but I think that a lot of people, like for me, for an example, like if we're going over a song and one person says that it's this way and another person says that it's that way, we probably all usually like say and just go with the leader's like interpretation of it, because at the end of the day they're the leader and we're going to give them the respect that they deserve. And we understand that it's really for the glory of God. It doesn't matter if we do the chorus 5 times, we do it 1 time, right? It's for the glory of God regardless of what it is. And I think in terms of like unity and what kind of Paul's talking about here is that we all know that it's about the good news. We all know that it's about the glory of God, and that we're always going to put other people's interests first, which is really the interest of God first, so that we can further the kingdom.
And so, is there anyone throughout your life that you've actually personally met or known of that has shown you what it looks like to live a life that is worthy of? I guess I phrased that weird. Okay, is there anyone that you've known that have shown you what it's like to live a life that is worthy of like a purely Christ-like behavior and mindset?
I think to answer it this way, someone that's put their interest before mine, like time and time again, and that I'll never forget, is probably my mom.
I would hope you never forget your mom.
I will never forget my mother, but when I was younger, I used to be in the like Christmas plays and the Easter plays and like literally every single play that was ever thrown at Faith Assembly. I was always in it. Didn't matter what role I was.
Half the time we didn't even have a role.
No, it's true. We used to just be crowd members, and like I just remember, obviously, like, we would have practices, I think, like once or twice a week, and then we would also have to come to youth service, and we also have to come to Sunday night service, and we also come to prayer service, and like my mom would just continue to go out of her way and drop me and my sister every single time, like relentlessly, every single time. Even if I told her every week, like, this is pointless, I don't want to be in it, like, take me out, like, it doesn't matter if I'm in it, like, no one's gonna notice if there's one less crowd person. But regardless, she kept like taking me and taking me and taking me, and I'm sure she wanted to be home, chilling in her bed, watching TV, eating, doing something other than taking me all the way to Queens, which is half hour from my house, coming back, then going all the way back to Queens, and then picking me and my sister up and coming back. Like, I'm sure she could have done anything with her time, but she really put her interest before herself, and she really put God first. And
Yeah.
I honestly, like, that's why I am involved the way that I am today, is because of my parents, because they just continue to show me that their interests are really God's interests. And that just has helped me tremendously. And I'll do the same thing for my kids, 100%.
Yeah, I think I would kind of go along the same lines with my parents because if they hadn't set that foundation for me in like what your priority should be in that, and like coming out to church and volunteering and being a part of things, I don't think I would be as involved as I am. Because like even growing up, my mom was a Sunday school teacher, so you would see her at home like planning her lessons and like reading it out and going over different things. And it shows that it's not just the dedication of just coming to church and being involved in the service as a audience member, but there's a lot more to it. If you really want to experience the full like goodness and glory of God, and that there is, how do I phrase it? I lost my train of thought. So like, there's more to church than just being a member of the audience. And what was I saying? I lost my train of thought.
You
I'm
have
sorry.
to cut this out too, Kev.
Or maybe, why? That's a little rude. But yeah, even as we were talking about it before, like our parents were new to the country, they were navigating things on their own, and they still made like a very conscious, visible effort to show us that church always comes first, regardless of what it is that you have going on in your life. And setting that foundation really means a lot to me now, because like I'm involved in so many things because of that, and I don't think I would not like I don't think I. If I wasn't involved in them, I don't know what else I would be doing with my time. And I would probably just be wasting it, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I would also say my parents too, because there would be moments growing up where it'd be Sunday and I would be like, I don't want to come to church. And my mom would be like, nah, you need to get up and you need to come and you need to be there and you need to be off your phone. And she'll just like stare at you with,
Yeah.
the death stare that
You
moms
get
have.
the side eye if
Yeah.
you're sitting next to you.
And
Facts.
yeah, if she doesn't do it, like my dad would drop us, and yeah, I'm like thankful that they like got us out here, because I probably would consistently think it's okay to stay home and like
Yeah.
not be
True.
here.
And like my dad, when we were younger, my dad was working and in school full time, and he still kind of made the time out to go to all the church services and do all the church work that he does and stuff. So if that's not like if you're working and going to school full time, both of them, and you're still making the time and finding the time to be very active and present within your church, then there's no reason that I shouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we can agree that unity is difficult, and that it honestly takes sacrifice, and we have to work
for
at it.
sure.
When we come into the family of God, we join with people from all backgrounds, different age groups. But I think that from looking into this in terms of unity standpoint, I think we can see that, like, to live a life that's worthy of the gospel of Christ, it means that we have to put other people
Before.
and their interests, first. And I think that's what Paul did time and time again for the churches, for the different churches and the different areas of the time. He continued to pray for them. He continued to put their interests first, and he continued to reach out to them. And I think that's what Jesus Christ did for us on the cross. He put us first, period, end of story. And I think that's the backbone of Christianity. That's the backbone of why we should have a relationship with Jesus Christ. I mean, regardless of what political background you're from, what socioeconomical background you're from, when you come to church, we're all united by the fact that Jesus died for us.
Yeah,
Doesn't
it's like
matter.
an even
Yeah.
playing field.
It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you're going. It doesn't matter like where in the story you are. Whether you were on a really bad path or like you came to Christ and now you're starting a new one. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you've done. Jesus Christ put us first by dying on the cross for our sins. And tonight, we just want to encourage every single person that's watching that, putting other people first, putting the other people first in your church, it really is what God is calling us to do. He's calling us to be a united church. He's not calling us to be separated. He's not calling us to be, different minded. He's calling us to be like minded. And that's how we spread the good news, and that's how we glorify God. And I just want to encourage everyone tonight that if you find yourself maybe out of a group in church, if you find yourself distant from other people, I encourage every single person to find a new group to be in, to find maybe that group that you were in before that you may have fallen out from. Put their interests first. Try to understand them from their perspective. Try to understand the mission and the goal that the leader of the different group that you may not be in. Try to understand where they're coming from and how they're trying to glorify God, and be a team player. And honestly, just be in that group, because more than likely you're probably called to that group. You're probably called to some area in your church that God wants to use you in. So we just want to encourage everybody tonight to make sure to remember that unity, sometimes it takes you to put other people's interests first, but to put God first as well.
I think that very concisely wrapped up our topic for tonight.
Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. We'll be continuing the book of Philippians and our study in the book of Philippians next week. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys there. Bye.
Good night.